The Ogre's latest monster addition, the mighty Thundertusk, is a powerful monster, packing a lot of hurt in both melee and missile, even overshadowing the existing Stonehorns. In this unit focus video, we'll be taking a closer look at the Thundertusk, the latest power creeping monster. At first glance, the Thundertusk unit stats doesn't look too much out of ordinary, over 10,000 HP, 100 armor and 25% missile resistance, making it a fairly tanky monster. The melee attack stats 54 and then 32 melee defense, also pretty decent for a single entity monster. 480 weapon strength, most of that armor piercing, with 20 bonus versus infantry, magic damage, and frostbite effect. Similarly, the unique snowball missile of the Thundertusk focus on anti-infantry as well, with solid armor piercing explosion damage. Just like the melee attacks, it does have frostbite and magic damage as well. And then there's also the chill aura, providing minus 30 speed debuff to surrounding units, but that's basically it. Again, nothing seems out of the place at first glance. But then if you compare the Thundertusk side by side with a Stonehorn with Harpoon Launcher, things look quite differently. Costing only 150 gold more than the Harpoon Launcher Stonehorn, the Thundertusk has 1000 more HP, 14 more melee attack, and 4 more melee defense, with a negligible sacrifice of 10 less armor and 10 less charge bonus. And don't forget about all the extra effects, the frostbite and the chill aura. We haven't even touched the missiles, and that's already a really good deal considering it only costs 150 gold more. Now of course, missiles wise we can't really compare the Harpoon and the Snowball, but wait, what is this on top of the Thundertusk? I definitely have seen him somewhere before. And yep, that is the exact same guy riding on top of the Thundertusk, or at least the same Harpoon Launcher in their hands. And that's not the end of it. There are two guys sitting on top of the Thundertusk, the second guy here holding an oversized javelin. I wonder who else holds a javelin while sitting on top of a massive monster. Oh right, the Stonehorn Hunter. That makes the Thundertusk the ultimate artillery monster of the Ogres, covering both missiles available to the Stonehorns and providing their own snowball artillery. While we don't have access to the exact missile damage on these secondary missiles, we can do some testing and see how much damage they do. Thundertusk by default has 200 range, but the Harpoon Launcher has 250, so they are able to launch a missile at this Chaos Sorcerer Lord on a Chaos War Shrine out of the 200 range. The full health of the War Shrine is 11,550, so that's about 377 damage. Now let's compare it with the Harpoon Launcher Stonehorn. Once again shooting at the Chaos Sorcerer on a War Shrine, roughly did 357 HP damage in this shot. So the Thundertusk does roughly the same damage, if not more, than the Stonehorn Harpoon Launcher. Now let's check out the Javelin one as well. The Javelin, despite having a much bigger pointy stick, it is actually significantly weaker than the Harpoon Launcher. The Javelin connects with the Sorcerer Lord on his War Shrine, and if we look at the HP of the Sorcerer Lord, down to 11,308 HP, so that's 242 damage. In comparison, here's the Hunter launching his Javelin at the Chaos Sorcerer Lord on War Shrine, down to 11,219 HP, so that's 331 damage. The Hunter does have 100 bonus versus large with his missile, so I assume the Thundertusk Javelin has a similar missile strength, but without the bonus versus large. Now we're not exactly at the end of the missile shenanigans yet. You can see that both of these regular Stonehorn missiles, Hunters, and Harpoon Launchers don't have 360 shooting, so that means they can't shoot at things on their side or behind them. But apparently the Thundertusks don't have this problem. The Chaos War Shrine is right next to the Thundertusk. Normally the Harpoon Launchers and Hunters can't actually shoot it, but nope, both of them just fired. From a different angle we can see that there's no way a Thundertusk can shoot at the War Shrine without that 360 shooting, but no, both of the Ogre Riders still took aim and fired. Even if the enemy is almost directly behind them, both the Javelin and the Harpoon Launcher can 360 no-scope them with no issue at all. I don't think this is a game-changing element in most situations, but I still find it funny that the Thundertusk is the Ogre Kingdom's only 360 shooting unit, and most likely unintended by CA. Weird missiles aside, let's go back into the actual combat performance of the Thundertusk. It is a great anti-infantry monster. The initial charge impact is definitely decent here, but if you want to see the true damage, you need to do the usual thing where you target the unit behind your intended target, and then watch the charging animation propelling the Thundertusk straight through the entirety of the enemy's formation, trampling everything in its path. And sometimes it does something like this, initiating a second charge immediately after finishing the first charging animation, making its charge a bit more impactful than normal. And of course, don't forget about the snowball artillery. Great armor piercing damage, especially armor piercing explosion, devastate any heavy infantry formations it hits. One shot, and that's 1/3 of the HP gone from that Dwarf Warrior infantry. And don't forget there's also the Harpoon Launcher and the Javelins firing in, doing even more long range damage. The only problem is that the minimal range of the snowball is quite long. That means the Thundertusk need to put quite a bit of distance between itself and the enemies to use the snowball attack. If the enemies get too close, then either the Thundertusk has to pull back and gain some distance, or simply stop shooting and go into melee. Of course, even when the Thundertusk is retreating, the ogres on top can still use their harpoons and javelins to kite their enemies. To quickly sum up, the Thundertusk is a great example of power creep. As a monster, it is incredibly powerful, able to devastate infantry in both melee and ranged, with either its thunderous charge or giant snowballs. Its frostbite and chilling aura are just cherry on top for some additional speed reduction. The main application would most likely be a monster piece against infantry heavy armies, similar to Stonehorns, but Thundertusk does have heavy firepower and can kite enemy infantry. You do have to choose between sending the Thundertusk into melee or sitting back to focus on shooting, so that might be a bit of a conundrum for the ogres in combat to consider. I don't think that Thundertusk is broken or OP by any means, just a bit overtuned, only 150 gold more than the Harpoon Stonehorn or a Stonehorn Hunter without equipment and abilities, while performing better in combat in almost every single way, rendering the Harpoon Stonehorn obsolete. Now if you compare the 2250 gold Thundertusk with the regular Stonehorn at 1800 gold or the 2050 gold Snowhorn of Mon Regiment of Renown, things do look more reasonable, but still the Thundertusk packs some heavy firepower, and a unit that can fight and can kite adds quite a bit of flexibility to an army. Personally, I would like to see CA simply remove the javelins and harpoons on top of the Thundertusk, and I think the design of the Thundertusk would make more sense focusing on the anti-infantry role instead of the anti-everything with the javelins and harpoons as well. Or for a simpler alternative, increase the price of the Thundertusk and drop the price of the Harpoon Stonehorns to restore the balance on the ogre roster.